Isaac Thomas Gillam IV, African-American aerospace engineer and NASA administrator. Born 1932, couldn't find any sources on whether he's alive or dead. Isaac Thomas Gillam IV was manager for the Delta program, which developed launch vehicles to send weather and communications satellites into orbit. Gillam was also director of shuttle operations during the flight tests of the Space Shuttle Enterprise. In 1978, he became director of National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Dryden Flight Research Center at Edwards Air Force Base in California, where testing of the shuttle was conducted. Later, he worked at NASA headquarters in Washington on the early development of the space station before entering private industry. Gillam was born in Little Rock, Arkansas on February 23, 1932, the son of Isaac Thomas and Ethel McNeil Reynolds Gillam. As a boy, Gillam lived with his grandparents and attended school in Little Rock, where his grandfather was a high school principal. During summers, he stayed with his parents, who were both working in Washington, D.C. His father worked for the United States Post Office, and his mother worked for the State Department. After graduating from Dunbar High School in 1948, Gillam attended Howard University, where his father and grandfather had also studied. At Howard, he joined the Air Force ROTC. A newsreel about the Tuskegee Airmen had first made him interested in becoming a pilot. He earned a bachelor's degree in mathematics in 1952. After graduation, Gillam trained as an Air Force pilot, earning his wings in 1953. He married Norma Jean Hughes, a former teacher, on December 21, 1956. Gillam taught as an ROTC instructor at Tennessee State University from 1957 to 1961. He also studied mathematics and physics while he was there. From 1961 to 1963, he was commander of a missile crew for the Strategic Air Command. He later told Ebony that 24-hour shifts in the missile silos stretched to 30 hours with briefings and debriefings. Instead of sleeping on his days off, he had to put in time flying to maintain his certification as a pilot. By 1963, these conditions convinced him to leave the Air Force, where he had reached the rank of captain. In 1963, Gillam joined NASA as a resources management specialist. He was appointed assistant manager for the Delta program in 1966, and in 1968 he became manager of the program. From 1971 to 1976, Gillam held the position of program manager for small launch vehicles and international projects as NASA sent satellites into orbit not only for the United States government, but also for governments in Asia and Western Europe. Gillam's division also launched satellites for companies such as ComSat, RCA, and Western Union, beginning a new era in modern communications. From 1976 to 1977, Gillam was director of shuttle operations at the Dryden Flight Research Center, where critical tests of the space shuttle were being conducted. In these tests, the shuttle was carried into the air by a modified Boeing 747 and released to glide to the desert landing strip. Gillam served as the director of Dryden from 1978 to 1981. Gillam moved to NASA's Washington headquarters in 1981 as a special assistant. He worked at the White House in the Office of Science and Technology Policy, helping to develop a national space policy. He became an assistant associate administrator at NASA in 1982. In this position, he helped manage the Space Shuttle program and the beginnings of the Space Station program. From 1984 to 1987, Gillam was assistant administrator in charge of commercial programs, the first to hold the post. As part of this position, he presented papers at meetings of aerospace organizations in Europe and Asia. In 1987, Gillam left NASA to join Orbiting Astronomical Observatory Corporation, which provides information services and other technological support for NASA as well as other government agencies and private corporations. He became Vice President for Mission and Computing Support in 1988 and Senior Vice President of the Aerospace Systems Group in 1989. In 1998, Gillam went to work for Allied Signal Technical Services in Pasadena as Program Manager for a communications network commissioned by NASA that enables control centers to communicate with distant spacecraft. In 1976, Gillam received NASA's highest award, the Distinguished Service Medal, for his work on the Delta program. He received the Exceptional Service Medal from NASA twice, once in 1981 and again in 1982. He also was named a Distinguished Howard University alumnus in 1981, and in 1986 he was presented with the Presidential Meritorious Excellence Award. He is a Fellow of the American Astronautical Society and an Associate Fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Gillam and his wife have 4 children: Michael, Tari Fort, Tracy Evans, and Kelly. Citations are in the description.